What a tenacious little bastard. Come on. I'd like to be able to see him and get the speed up as well at the same time. I wanted to, for some reason he keeps dodging out the way. There he is. And he just follows us everywhere. Can't see it, but it's probably still after us. Yep, there he is. What a little bugger. Nowhere's safe. Hello everyone and welcome back to Scum. I'm your host, 2005 Guy 402. Okay, so before we get started, there's a couple of things I want to explain as to what's currently going on, and then we can get into the game itself. So we've got a little modification screen coming up, but before we get into that, I also want to apologize just in case you guys can't read what's on the screen. Pardon me. Basically, my screen setup is 4K, and the recording at the moment is going down at 1080p. The reason for this is because I don't want to have a massive file when I'm editing the video. It also takes up way too much hard drive space. Granted, most of my hard drives are currently empty. The reason for this is because we've now got Windows 10 on my main computer. And yeah, installing this piece of crap operating system has been the bane of my existence so far. I mean, basically I prefer Windows 7 because you can do a lot more with Windows 7 and it doesn't aggravate the hell out of you like Windows 10 does. For example, if I'm video editing something and I go over about 20 hours of the computer running, the computer automatically restarts itself and I can't stop it from doing that. The other problem that I had was during the initial installation of the awful operating system. It took me 5 hours for it to recognize the other internal hard drives, and it took me an additional hour to get it to recognize my external network storage. And I'm not particularly happy that it wasted so much of my time. But the reason for installing this horrible operating system is because somebody thought it would be a fun idea to get onto my computer without my knowledge or my consent and without even entering the house. So yes, thank you very much, Mr. or Mrs. Dipshit, because now I've had installed this horrible operating system, which I absolutely hate. Yeah, set me back a fair penny, bearing in mind I'm unemployed. So I am not particularly happy about this horrible operating system. And if I get my hands around of the scumbag that did this to me, I'm gonna ring every last. It takes a lot to piss me off, and what has happened over the last week has extremely pissed me off. So I advise that anyone out there that's into going onto other people's computers without their permission, don't do it before you find yourself. But that all said, we're not here to vent my anger a little bit at the moment. We're here to actually enjoy a game. So that all said, before we go into the game, because I've had to wipe all 20 terabytes of my hard drives, luckily enough I've been able to salvage the editing side of the software, save games of Space Engineers, but all the other save games from all the other games are all gone. That includes Scum, single and multiplayer. Now, during the last whole batch of Scum that's gone up, I had a nice selection already pre-uploaded, so I didn't lose any of that. What we noticed, even after the fog removal patch, was that the lag spikes continue, and that's the reason why we've got the server INI file up. The plan is to make the days longer, make the game lighter so that we don't have to keep editing the picture quality when it's dark, because that doesn't always work, and sometimes it makes it 10 times worse. Like bleed through and other things I don't like to have on the video. So we're going to try and modify the game so that we don't have trouble at night time recording, and also try and keep the days long and not the nights. Like to cut out the nights completely and just have the character, even if the character just has to sit there. I know there is a code, but the problem with the code is I can't guarantee that I'm going to get the achievements out of it. So I'm not going to use the code to skip past the day, skip past the night. And even with what I'm about to change on here, that nighttime is going to get long. I mean, really long. It's going to be about 6, maybe 8 hours long. Well, if I set it to the full 24-hour whack, then yes, it will be. But that all said, before we get to that one, let's start off with the top of this INI file. I don't plan to modify that much on it at the moment. Bear in mind there are a couple of things in there I don't know what they are, because even the online Steam guide that I found does not explain about sections of the single player INI file. Actually, it doesn't explain anything about the single player INI file. It only covers the multiplayer INI file, server INI file. So big portions of this is not actually listed in the guide. So I'm not going to mess about with the portions that I don't know about. So getting started, currently we've got 40 animals in the world, 15 birds, 64 zombies, 64 something I don't know, 64 something I don't know, 64 something I don't know. The -1 on the sentinels is default amount of sentinels in certain POIs. Now, we found out in the airport, if we remove the dash, there's only one sentinel in that one POI. So it says in the world, but I think it's whatever's in that section closest to you. So if you go to a POI that normally has about 8 sentinels walking about, so i.e. mechs, then the -1 will give you the 8. If you chop it down to just the one, only one will be walking around, which is why we were able to drive onto the runway, down the tracks. We could loot up the area and we could still get out in one piece. If you do something hellish like I did before the wipe, I increased it. Pardon me. I increased it to 20, and you don't just have the. Pardon me. Don't have the just the 8s that are just walking about in circles, but you also have quite a lot of them walking up and down the runway and all over the place, and yeah, try and take a car through that. I wouldn't recommend it, but that all said, that's one thing that can happen, and I will show you guys what it can do. Let's bit down the line. Vehicles in the world is set for 64, so that's 64. I don't think it's in your area neither with the zombies, because I've yet to find 64 zombies in that one square. So those ones, I think it's a case of they are completely spread over the map, but you can increase that too. And with the zombies, I am planning to increase it fourfold at some point. The problem is I want to get rid of this lag first. Now, hopefully the devs can do it on their end. I think it's something in the game, I just don't know what yet. I'm not that heavily into editing of files, because I don't actually do editing of files usually. But if there are figures I can change here and there, make things harder, make other things a little bit easier, make other things last longer, then I'll muck about with that. Add more variety of enemies in the world, then I'll do that too. But at the moment, we're not in Empyrion, so we're stuck to what we've currently got on here. So the bits I will definitely not be mucking about with is the wild pores, the exterior and interior pores, because I don't know what they are, nor this lot here, because it's not listed in the multiplayer guide as to what they are. The fact that it's got cooldowns, I have no idea what this is. It's really bugging me. I don't know what it is. I'd like to know, but I guess the only way to find out would be to increase it and see what happens. But I want us to get settled into the world before we actually start adding more and possibly increasing lag. Then we've got the start of day, which is 6 AM in the morning. The speed of day is set for 1, so that's 6 hours in game. Sorry, 6 hours external of the game. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that 12 hours real time, because we want to increase the length of the day. I will cut the nights out, and I'll just have the character just sit there and then eat, drink, whatever. Maybe pop out for food here and there, but if anything does pop up, then I'll get the recording software back up. Basically, I don't want to record really dark scenes, as it were, because every time I try to do it through the video editing software, it just you've got color bleed through, you've got wrong colors in the wrong places, you've got humongous square pixels. It's a nightmare to try and get right, and I can't figure out how to do it on PowerDirector. I used to be able to do it. It used to be alright, but for some reason it does not work well with this game. So I'm trying to avoid the light modification. So let's try where it says darkness intensity multiplier. Let's set that to 0.5 and see what happens. Storms. Means our character's going to get wet, might get hit by lightning. Let's keep that on 1 for the moment. Respawn, so pardon me. If you die, you get the option to use 25 fame points for a random location, 50 for a certain sector, 75 for if you've got a small shelter somewhere, and if you've got a squad member, so a member of your faction, it's 100 fame points. So you have to have 100 fame points before you kill yourself, and you want to spawn to your mate. So yeah, that's not going to happen if you're really starting the game. So yeah, that's one thing. We're not going to muck about with that because the idea is to try not to die. Then you've got spawn item spawning. So you've got a probability for something. You've got examine spawner. Then you've got spawn group. There are explorations. So you've got examine, exploration, and group. I think it was probability on finding rare items. The default is 1, and then the time it takes for something to despawn, I think that is. And that's probably why it kept coming up saying item is destroyed, because it was actually despawning. That's probably what that was. Then you've got events, so you've got it set for 30 minutes is the minimum, 120 is the maximum, so 120, so it's 2 hours before the next event. And what it normally means is with the events, if you're in single player, it means the cargo drops, right? We could decrease that to 60, so we could get cargo drop every hour. That would be nice, but probably a bit OP, so let's not do that. Duration, play. So I think these ones are in seconds as well. Yeah, they're in minutes. These ones are in seconds. So 60 seconds for the coal, 60 seconds for the drop, and 20 minutes for it to self-detonate. I think that's why it's, yeah, 12 was 20 minutes, right? Yeah, so that's 20 minutes for it to self-destruct. Now, if it's quite far away, we could actually increase that a bit. So it's, let's say, 40 minutes. Shall we do that? Make that 24? Give us enough time to go there and come back if we're on foot. I think I will do that. Let's make that 24. Then we've got the damage multipliers. You've got one for sentinels and one for the zombies. So I think in the multiplayer he set that to a low figure. I just don't know what he set it to, because we were getting pummeled quite badly, and no matter what I did, it took an awful long time to get out of that zombie donut. But let's not do that. The one thing that I definitely want to change still is this one here. Basically, the big headache that I had in single player. I'd charge up a battery, I'd exit the game, go back in the game, the battery was flat. And that's what that is. Because the single player game is still set up as a multiplayer game, if you have the battery drain set to 1, it means that the battery will continue to drain when you're offline. When the game isn't even running, it will drain the battery. Set that to 0, and the battery does not drain when you're offline, like it shouldn't. So whoever thought having that on a single player game needs to be shot. But that said, yeah, that's the only change I want to make today, and then we can continue. In the next game, we can decrease or increase these wild spawns, exterior and interior, to see what they actually relate to. Our character will die so many times, I think. But that said, let's exit here. I think I've waffled on way too long, and let's actually get into the game itself. Ooh, let's not have it on there.
It's all about humanity.
A nice sunset with a wolf chasing us, no matter where we go. What a tenacious little bastard. Come on. I'd like to be able to see him and get the speed up as well at the same time. For some reason he keeps dodging out the way. There he is. And he just follows us everywhere. Can't see it, but it's probably still after us. Yep, there he is. What a little bugger. Nowhere's safe. Let's intentionally snake if we can. There we go. It's just completely impossible to make him roadkill. Unless maybe we can hit him. No, not like that, apparently. We're gonna run out of petrol before he gives up. There he is again. We're gonna have to find a house or something so we can shoot him bomb top or something. Oop. There he is again. So which one of those had a barn where we could get up? Balcony. And maybe... No, not really. It's not going to be somewhere safe. Oh well, I've got a little bit of a problem. I'll catch you guys next time. That does it. Come on, get out. We're going to have to use the rifle. Even though we don't have enough friends for this. Come on. Those wolves are tenacious. You do not want them following you.